I noticed a big gender gap and the way women were treated abroad versus how they were treated here. I've been invited to speak as a woman entrepreneur today. But I think there is one thing that needs to change here. I'm not a woman entrepreneur, I am just an entrepreneur. The local media portals who have just recently come up in huge number, they would just come to you, they would publish a news against you. Typically that's false or fake news and add 10 spices to it, and then their marketing people would expect you to advertise with them. If you do advertise with them, what will happen is those fake news will go away and no defaming for your hospital. But if you don't, it will continue, and that's how the whole new model is based on these local media portals. Proud to say that we are Punjab's fastest growing digital news channel in English today. 3 of world's largest news aggregators, Geo News, Daily Hunt and Google News feature our news. For me, ever since I was little, I was very clear on this one goal, that I wanted to make a difference. Even when I didn't know how, I knew I wanted to make a change. Very good afternoon to all of you here. My name is Khyati Kohli and I am the Managing Director at True School. I pursued my undergrad in the University of Southern California. I did bachelor's in business administration with a minor in web tech and applications. In my 4 years in the States, I had quite a great experience, of course. A few key differences that I noticed between my education and my fellow mates who were learning here was, when I went outside, it taught me a few very, very important life skills. It taught me how to actually learn. It taught me how to think critically. But also, what those 4 years did to me was, it showed me a big, big disparity in the way that things are run outside India and in India, especially for women. So I noticed a big gender gap and the way women were treated abroad versus how they were treated here. So at the age of 20, I moved on to write my novel, The Shames on You. So The Shames on You is basically a fictional story. What happens there is that this woman commits suicide and she has a 17-year-old daughter who thinks that her mother was perfectly happy. So there is no possible way that she could have committed suicide. So the daughter goes on a journey to find out what made her mom take that extreme action. Through this story, I have highlighted a lot of things that show us the disparity and how same actions of men and women are perceived differently by the society. Now these things happen more in India. I'll share a few examples also. Being a woman entrepreneur, I've been invited to speak as a woman entrepreneur today. But I think there is one thing that needs to change here. I'm not a woman entrepreneur, I am just an entrepreneur. I think we know that we've achieved real change once, you and I or whoever else isn't a woman something, we're just that person. Because women aren't a minority, we are equal and we need to make these changes in the different spaces, be it corporate, be it household. Going back, this story basically highlights how women wear masks. They don't show the real picture. Like, let's say if a woman might not be what you or I see her to be, for the simple reason that there are a lot of judgments from the society. And this book, the goal of this book was to initiate some important conversations that we are otherwise too afraid to have. Then after I completed my 4 years of undergrad in USC, there was a big question. Do I come back or do I not come back? It was something like big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond. And now there wasn't a right or wrong answer, but for me, ever since I was little, I was very clear on this one goal, that I wanted to make a difference. Even when I didn't know how, I knew I wanted to make a change. Living in the States would have been a big difference in my own life, maybe for my family. But I knew if I wanted to affect people around me, I had to come back and I had to choose something that's meaningful, something that's giving back to the society in one way or another. So now charity is not the only way to do it, you can do it in 10 different ways. That's how I came up with my concept of True Scoop. So True Scoop is a digital news channel, and I'll tell you how we're different. If you guys are local and you know a little bit about the local media ecosystem, how this works is, let's say you own a hospital and the local media portals who have just recently come up in a huge number, they would just come to you, they would publish a news against you, typically that's false or fake news, and add 10 spices to it, and then their marketing people would expect you to advertise with them. If you do advertise with them, what will happen is those fake news will go away and no defaming for your hospital. But if you don't, it will continue, and that's how the whole revenue model is based on these local media portals. Now, media has a lot of influence on what you're consuming. The presentation before me, so you were just looking at the Indian Express and how what you read there, it affected your complete mindset. You will look at Netflix in a different way now because you know what's really going on. Now imagine if that hospital pays advertisement, you will never get to know the real picture of what's happening in that hospital. So that media gets compromised, and it wasn't just happening with one media channel, it was happening with almost every single media channel in the industry. So True Scoop came into life almost 3 years ago. So May 2018 I graduated. October 2018 I started True Scoop, and proud to say that we are Punjab's fastest growing digital news channel in English today. 3 of world's largest news aggregators, GeoNews, Daily Hunt and Google News feature our news. That has only happened because we've stayed authentic. We had a clear goal that we did not want to compromise our authenticity at any cost, and we've been able to do that. Of course, now a big challenge comes with it. Everyone grows at a very high speed when you're taking the easier path. But when you're taking this path where you're committed to not taking any local ads because that will compromise your authenticity, it is definitely a challenge to grow. How we've differentiated ourselves is through a few different ways. One, through action-oriented journalism. So I'll tell you a small example. Our goal was always socio-economic change, so we did not just want to keep writing news. We wanted to make sure if there's something wrong that's happening, we report on it and change is actually brought. So recently, I think 3 days ago, we published a news about GNDU Ladewali campus, the poor hygienic sanitation facilities that are available there, and the lead was given to us by the student itself from that college. As we did, the news got viral like anything, and students started reacting on it, and eventually yesterday we received an official confirmation that the action will be taken on this. So we do a lot of such work where, meaningful work. So even if you guys have any stories for us, open to hearing those. Other than that, we do a little things differently. So for example, First Story Positive is a concept where we started posting the very first story as a positive story. So you wake up in the morning, you look at your phone, the very first thing that you read or the first few minutes that you spend on your phone impact your entire day, whether you know it or not. They impact your mindset, they impact the way you look at the entire day, how you perform your tasks. So we've just started this little initiative where our first story will always be a positive story, so you can kickstart your day in the right direction. Similarly, we've done Poly End with Municipal Corporation Jalandhar, where we declared good 15 to 20 restaurants plastic free and single-use plastic free item. And we also went to a lot of schools and colleges where we conducted action camps. They were not awareness camps because you all are aware how bad plastic is. Action camps where we actually help them highlight how they can make a difference. And now I would love to talk about being a woman entrepreneur. Before I start, I would like to know who all are working here and how many students do we have? Women. So how many women students do we have here? Can you raise your hand? All students. And we have a few professors here also. So I would love to share my experience, but I would also like to hear from you all. So one challenge that I faced is, I also covered a show about this. In the beginning, when we started True Scoop, we used to hold a lot of meetings, a lot of new people used to come to our office. So it's me, my partner, and let's say one staff member would be sitting with us. some new person comes in the meeting, they would very professionally shake the hands with my partner, my co-worker, and I would just get a nod. And I totally understand that, but I personally think that is still, I know they're trying to respect women in that way, they don't want to make the woman uncomfortable in any way. But at the same time, if we talk about gender equality, I think even these little actions should be taken into mind. I don't think as a woman I would want someone to not shake my hand as a form of respect. I don't know. Do you guys agree or disagree? Do you think this is something that we see in our daily lives, and do you think it's acceptable, or do you think it should change? It should change, right? So can you tell me some examples where you have seen, very little examples, where you have also seen, okay, this is a different thing that's happening with me versus maybe my brother or maybe my co-worker? Any examples that you guys have? Please feel free to speak up. We are here to talk. Conversation is the best way to grow.
Most probably we have seen that when boys are traveling late, I mean they're coming home late, it's not a matter because they are allowed to do that.
Right.
But when it's matter of girl, this is a girl and she's coming at 9 p.m. Look at this, she's that. Then who is making this society unsafe? The boys are making that.
Right.
So who shouldn't be allowed to go out is the boys, not the girls.